a dollar bill. Guess you forgot your calendar bin. You can't get loose, get that's got your tongue again. Rope burn on your hand, oh you know. I can go with a drip medication. Late at night, I can deal with it. Every night, I can make it like that's what good. Stood by your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? I'm in the king, mirror of things, I'm the diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? I can go with a drip medication. Late at night, I can deal with it. Every night, I can make it that's what good.
All right, we're getting started. Hopefully audio's all working now. Having a little bit of technical difficulties. Don't know if you heard, but I had to reformat my computer. So all my settings are all messed up. I just got them dialed in for streaming, and now everything's all out of whack. So tonight what we're covering is we're back on that Binghamton SA case. And we got a little bit of new information. Not a whole ton though. It's been since I think Sunday. So the last time, not this Sunday, last Sunday is the last time WBNG, the local reporters, have covered the case. And I haven't gotten any updates from them. There's been a couple press connects, and the PBS channel there has covered a little bit, and we're going to cover some of that tonight because it's pretty interesting. I actually reached out to the person that wrote the article and asked him on Twitter, which I'll actually show you that. So there was an article on there that I retweeted. Mind you, Twitter's not a very big deal in Binghamton area. At least it doesn't seem to be. The original tweet only got like 3 retweets, but they were covering this case, and it was law limits what police can say about the Binghamton, and it's about that case. And today, when I went to go click on that, I found this, which showing that it's no longer available on their website. So I reached out and I said to her, I'm trying to come up with reasons this article was removed, and none of them are good. Maybe I'm wrong, so I thought I would reach out to you and ask directly, why did you delete this article? Thank you. And she did respond right away. Well, pretty quickly. And she said, oh, the URL must have changed when we updated it. Here's the updated version. I'm like, all right, cool. So then I click on it and I come over to the article, which is actually, you know what? I'm just going to play that for you. So there's the updated article. And it literally replaced this one that was here. So let me go off to clips and we'll play the new article. The first article was in my stream, and I also put it, the first stream I did on this, and it's also in the video I put up. We'll point out some key points to it, but a little bit concerning.
This is WSKG News. And Stone Fox. Hundreds of people protested outside the 3.
Yeah, let me refresh that.
This is WSKG News. I'm Jillian Forstadt. Binghamton Mayor Rich David is acknowledging his ties to owners of downtown restaurants at the center of an ongoing police investigation. Those restaurants are Dos Rios, the Colonial, and Stone Fox. Hundreds of people protested outside the 3 earlier this month after accusations of sexual assault surfaced online. David was once the owner of the building where Dos Rios is located. He sold it to members of the management group that later opened the restaurant in 2017. Property records kept by Broome County show they paid more than $1.2 million for the space. That's nearly twice what David paid for it. The mayor says his only connection to the businesses is through that deal.
I have not at any point in time ever had any financial interest or any sort of interest in either of those three businesses, Colonial, Dos Rios, or Stone Fox, or their parent management group. However way you want to slice and dice it, I have nothing to do with those businesses.
When asked how well he knows the owners, David says he knows one in passing and another through a couple business deals. The mayor holds real estate throughout the Binghamton area. Police have not released any names related to the investigation. David says they are trying to corroborate claims made on social media and encourages anyone with information to come forward. David's tenure as mayor ends this month. Jillian Forstadt, WSKG News.
All right, so that's the new article. And the big takeaway from it is the original article, which luckily I was able to pull it back up from the Wayback web page. The original article words it differently. For one, it's saying David's ties to the owners are both professional and personal. And so I went and asked Jillian on her page. I said, "Thank you for responding. This newly updated article states David said he knows one in passing. The old article said David said he knew them personally. Shouldn't a change like this be cited? So which one's true?" I mean, you can't change that statement. I mean, either he said it or he didn't say it. And now it's like they're kind of reeling back on the original statement. So he's saying basically the same thing here. At no point in time have I ever had an interest in ownership or financial or otherwise in the business or the parent organization. When asked if he considers members of the management group friends of his, David said he knew them personally. So that was like something we brought up in our curated video, is that we thought, like we expect that, right? We expect them to, you're going to be the mayor and these are businesses downtown. Of course, you're going to have a relationship. But where the question comes, is there a conflict of interest in this case? And something that was brought up, here's the original Reddit with the, it's all the way up to 39 now. And the last post was examining the relationship between Rich David, Ron Kweller, and BPD for potential conflicts of interest, which I'm super thankful that this Mr. Binghamton is actually bringing this to the attention of this thread and hopefully many others, because I think it's pretty hard to deny that there isn't a conflict of interest. He started this subreddit, and it's Mayor Rich David, Ron Kweller, and the Binghamton Police Department conflict of interest. Binghamton Police Department works for Mayor David. Mayor David's close relationships to Ron Kweller presents a conflict of interest for this investigation. To reiterate, the Binghamton Police Department Detective Bureau reports the Chief of Police. The Chief of Police reports to Mayor Rich David. The unit investigates the alleged crime, reports to the individual who's known to have a business and a personal relationship with the alleged crime perpetrator, Ron Kweller. A conflict of interest is defined by the state of New York, which I'm not going to go through all of that, but you can come here and click on it if you want. It's obviously, I'll do his quote. New York State officers, employees, legislative members, and employees shall not have any interest, financial or otherwise, direct or indirect, or engage in any business or transaction or professional activity or incur any obligation of any nature which is substantial conflict with the proper discharge of his or her duties in the public interest. And here are some items that illustrate the mutual beneficial relationship between Mayor Rich David and Ron Kweller and the Binghamton Police Department. Mayor Rich David sold the 60 Court Street to Ron Kweller for $1.2 million on January 16, 2017. Binghamton Bridge. And these are those two sources. Personally, I think this is the most substantial, he says. which we did cover that. We pulled up the whole document saying that it was kind of try to sweep under the rug type situation where they were, it was supposed to be quiet. And he said, he campaigned on that he wasn't going to be doing real estate dealings while he's in office. He's actually reached his term limit now. He's been mayor for that long, and now he's running for Senate. When asked if considering members of the management group friends of his, David said he knew them personally. That's citing the article that is no longer there. Well, has been edited, quote, updated. Ron Kweller appears in Rich David's Senate campaign video that has since been removed from the campaign website. Ron Kweller speaks at the BPD Reform, collaborating, advocating for more resources for BPD. Rich David increases the annual PBT budget by $1 million. The Colonial and Dos Rios hire off-duty BPD officers to work at their establishment. This is common practice for downtown bars, but still represents a conflict of interest. And the Colonial congratulates Rich David's Senate campaign. Someone from the Colonial is at the announcement campaign launch. I got that screenshot. Oh, that's that one. Right here, the Colonial endorses Rich David for Senate. Colonial congratulates Mayor Rich David on your announcement to run for New York State Senate. There are likely other ways to illustrate this relationship between these three entities, but this is all I could come up with so far. If you think this is enough to demonstrate a conflict of interest or a biased investigation, you can contact the AG or the FBI. Either agency will determine if these are grounds for an outside investigation. So this is actually a picture from his campaign, for his Senate campaign, and that's Ron Kweller right there. So like, I don't know him. I don't know him personally anymore. That's kind of the statement. Of these people, I met them in passing. That looks a little more than passing to me. And this video for this campaign has been pulled down. So, right there, that in itself, it's just constantly something's being deleted online or removed. I'm going to go ahead and show you a clip of Ron Kweller and how, there could be possible conflicts of interest just with him and BPD.
Tonight. Next up, we have Ron Kweller. Mr. Kweller, I will turn the floor over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ron Kweller. I'm a commercial landlord, a residential landlord. I'm a student landlord, a market rate landlord. I'm a restaurant owner and a bar owner, all in the city of Binghamton. Over the years, I've gotten to know a lot of the Binghamton PD. I've had interactions with the Binghamton PD. Some serious stuff involving some of my tenants, some serious stuff involving my neighbors. And I have to tell you, over the years, they've always done a great job. Currently, it's a very difficult climate to be a police officer in the state of New York. People are very quickly to judge and point fingers before actions are done online. There's a tremendous social media mob out there attacking the police. I think our local cops have really done an amazing job through everything. That's pretty much my feedback on it.
Thank you, Ron, for taking time to talk and just to be here tonight to participate in this. So I want to thank everyone who has signed up to participate tonight. As a reminder, all public input meetings are recorded. They'll be available online.
All right, so he obviously has a relationship. It's kind of interesting. He's talking about a mob, they're quick to come after him and all that. And now literally he has all of social media coming after him. So, I don't know. I don't know if he thought this might happen to him or he's just seen it happen to other people. But I don't know. There seems to be definitely a very interesting climate, and I really, really want to see mainstream media get into this and investigative journalism, because without, I mean, it'd be great too if, outside investigation comes into the area and looks into this, because I mean, these are serious allegations and there's definitely room for bias. Earlier this week, I went and I joined No Soundbites. If you saw the first video, I featured his protester footage, and I asked a few questions in his chat. So I'm going to pull that up and break it down a little bit, but it kind of gives you, he was on the phone with a caller, and the caller is in Binghamton politics, or he used to be into Binghamton politics. So I thought, okay, well, this would be interesting. I'd like to hear what he thinks of this situation. And it's kind of telling. And like, I don't know, this could be just one isolating view. That caller also has a YouTube channel. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description once the stream's over or whatever. Just because I know he announced that he was a YouTuber in there. And of course, I'll have Michael Vass, No Soundbites Allowed linked in there for using some of his content for this. And we're going to be stopping it a bit and critiquing some of the things that were said. Because, I mean, I don't know if it's just the view of just a few, or if there is a kind of bigger view where a lot of people in this area feel that way. But one of the things I will say is that we are not into politics on this channel. We don't care about left or right or any of that. We're not, I mean, we can discuss it to a point, but it's not something like I want to get into. We're a true crime channel, and if we're going to talk about trying to get things better or make things better in the world, it's more of a system dynamics angle and actual technical factors of making the world better versus political. So we don't share the views that they're expressed in his video, the clips that I pulled. Be clear on that. I mean, if he wants to have a conversation or something at point, I'm more than willing to have it with him. And he has a call in every Sunday, so I can always call into his show too. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you, and we'll break that down. And I think it'll give you a better idea of, I think, kind of where people are coming from in this area anyways.
We have a question from an individual, one of the people listening, Bing's Media, says, I would love to hear your caller's view on the current allegations of, the sexual assault. Well, you heard about the sexual assault downtown.
Oh yeah, and I saw your live stream when you were downtown.
Okay.
I have the same thing as any other, at least being accused. You have to let the system work it. Mm-hmm. You have to assume the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, because they do it to us all the time. And they say, well, their evidence is overwhelming. Well, we don't know what the evidence is yet.
Yeah, and if the evidence is, like I've said, and I said then at the event live, and I said it since, if they're proven guilty, throw the book at them.
One thing I will say with that is, there's this presumption of innocence, and, don't get me wrong, there is, you're presumed innocent, and we shouldn't go in, the old mob, grab them up or whatever, obviously. But that doesn't mean that you have to think they're innocent. Yeah, presumption of innocence for a courtroom. And that's for if you're a juror. If you are just regular public, you're allowed to have an opinion. It doesn't mean that you can voice your opinion, but you don't, there's no action other than voicing your opinion. You're not going to play, the law or the vigilante, but public opinion is, something that gets these cases a lot of times investigated thoroughly and actually gets, the truth to come out or the evidence to come out for that courtroom. So without having investigative journalists here and without having, well, I'm not saying there's no investigative journalists. I'm sure there are, but I haven't been able to find a whole lot of coverage on this. I mean, there's more on Reddit and with that Mr. Binghamton's, subreddit than anywhere else that I've seen so far. So, but that being said, outside influence is what I'm getting at. Getting mainstream media or even just, your regular independent investigative journalist on this case from outside to come in and put it under a magnifying glass and have that scrutiny is what I think absolutely is needed in this case, besides a outside investigation. I mean, that would be ideal, obviously, to bring in an outside investigation. But, I mean, just think about it. If, say they're all in cahoots together, or they're all buddy-buddy, how much evidence has already been destroyed? How much evidence has already been cleaned up? I mean, that's why I was upset with the district attorney saying that, we can, it's not like TV. We gotta wait and make our case and, make sure it's prosecutable and all that. And I say you press the charges on the witness testimony if you have that many witnesses. Now, I don't know for sure that they have the 15 people or whatever it is, 15 people testifying or, made statements against it. But if they do, they should have definitely made arrest, in my opinion. And even if you can't prosecute it and you have to drop the charges, at least it goes on the arrest record, right? And at least that way, if something else happens down the road, they're like, maybe we should look into this more because this person was accused of this and arrested for that. Charges were dropped. There'll be an arrest record. And that might, help down the line with getting enough evidence for a prosecution and all that. But still, I think it's incredibly strong to have that many people making witness statements to investigators. I mean, it was claimed to be, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there was like 70 people. There was 15 actual victim girls, and there was 70 people that had spoken to investigators. Now, I don't know how true that is. Like I said, the Binghamton PD has not come out. It's another thing that's kind of frustrating because they made a post, and I can't verify this either, but allegedly there was a thing put out that there wouldn't be any updates on this case until the 27th because the point of contact, which they don't have a normal PIO or whatever, they have just somebody that's a contact for this case, won't be back till the 27th. The way they made it sound was like they're going on holidays. And then I see on the news just like a few days ago that they're ramping up their DUI prevention, and they're going to have twice as many cops out on the road and all this stuff. It's like, oh, you can bring them out for trying to get, revenue for giving people tickets and pulling them over or whatever. But this case, which is to me way more important, that's going to have to wait till the 27th. If that's true, like I said, I have had no way to confirm that for sure. It was just a post on the Reddit and they kept it in the thread like it was valid. So I'm guessing that somebody, sourced it to a point. And when I tried to source it, it led back to somebody making a post on a Twitter or Facebook. I think they might be somehow connected to the BPD. So there was that, but let me continue.
They should get every punishment that could be possibly done.
Yeah.
If they're innocent, though,
yeah,
we have to accept that too. But the process has to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. The process has to matter. And so, I mean, I don't go downtown as a rule anyway to bars and stuff, but if I went there regularly and this happened, I probably would still go there until the justice system, as slow sometimes as it is and cumbersome, takes its course.
Well, I wouldn't say that if people feel strongly, and I have no problem with telling people, you feel strongly about this, don't support that business. If that's your way of expressing your displeasure with even the allegation, that's fine.
Yeah, but you and I always criticize, always, all the time, privately and then on the show here, people having strong feelings when they know very little fact. We criticize that quite often.
Absolutely.
So maybe, so saying they feel strongly about not going there now, well, they don't have any facts.
Yeah, but I can't deny that people have that right.
So I don't know. I mean, that's, I would never, if allegations came out about that for my, my favorite watering hole or where I go to drink or whatever. And unless I have some kind of personal connection where I know, like I know this person's character and I can, weigh them out. But without that, without having some kind of relationship, I hear those allegations. There's no way I'm going to support that business until the opposite, till they're proven that, that nothing happened and these people are accusing them, because that's seems to be the angle here, is that they think it's something else that happened. Michael Vass and his caller, and that like it's possibly politically driven, and it's just somebody got upset at something with those owners and then made it fictitious. But when it comes to SA cases, I think it's incredibly important, especially, I mean, it's important to believe one victim that comes forward because it's so hard for them to come forward in these cases. But then when you have 15, and then, I mean, if you just think about it logically, are you really going to be able to get 15 women to come forward and say this? Well, maybe a politically driven thing. Maybe you could, but then you have employees that are attesting to similar situations and backing them up with that. So how did you get the employees to do it too? I mean, that seems, you'd have to really, it doesn't make sense to me. They think it's strange and they've heard things and they're not saying exactly what they've heard, but I say you err on caution. I mean, it's not going to be any penalty to believe the victims and take that side first. And if something changes, change your mind down the line. But I think you should always be on the side of the victims, especially in these kinds of cases, because, they are suppressed and they generally aren't, prosecuted. And so I think it's very, very important to believe the victims.
So I wouldn't tell someone you don't have the right to do that.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about the right. I'm talking about as a practical matter. I mean, it's easy to be a hypocrite sometimes without realizing.
True.
But I think the process should go as it is. Actually, it makes no sense to me. The little bit that I do know that I've seen on local websites and in the paper and such, it makes no sense. The whole thing, it just doesn't sound right. There's something weird going on here.
Well, and that's what some people are alleging, and that's what they're trying to push, is that there's some conspiracy there. I can tell you that I don't want to go into rumor.
No,
I've heard things that make me have many questions.
Well, no, I understand, but I'm talking about, we won't call logistics, but we'll just call it a practical, common sense matter. Especially today, young women do not go into bars by themselves as a rule. That's been a standard rule since you and I were in high school.
That's not entirely true.
I agree with Michael Vass. Not entirely true, nor should it be true. Now, I do promote that, if you're going to go out, try to, use the buddy system. But that does not mean a woman should have to go out with her friends to be safe. She should be safe in that establishment. And she should be able to go just like a man down to her bar and not be taken advantage of. She should be safe in that institution. And those owners should do everything they can to make it safe for them. They are liable for her. I mean, I just think it's crazy that he says, well, she should have brought somebody. I mean, that's victim blaming 101, totally unacceptable. Don't care where you're coming from. There's no way that there's any validity to that argument. Well, you should use the buddy system. Yeah, you should use the buddy system in the sense of it's a great idea, but it doesn't mean you have to, and it's any less, it's somehow your fault because you didn't use the buddy system. It's not your fault. You should have been safe in that establishment.
Well,
I've been in bars lately, and that's
right. Not entirely. There is no 100% absolute. You're right. But what I'm trying to say is that it just, to the extent that they say it's going on, it just doesn't make any sense. We're going to have to see how the investigation goes. I hope it's a decent, thorough one. And I hope that if they're found out there is no evidence or the evidence isn't worth pursuing, that they say, these same morons that are, protesting them say, you know what, we're sorry, but that won't happen, of course.
No, they've already said, plot. When they took over the Women's Me Too event that I live streamed, and you can watch the live stream for yourself, folks, and see that they said these things. Plot, when they took it over, said that they blamed it all on these people being white and business owners, and they turned it into a race and economics issue, and they want to destroy the businesses.
Well,
guilt is not important.
I'm sure you noticed right away.
Yeah, I disagree with that also. I mean, I do think that there was some of the organizers that are politically driven, and I'm actually thankful for them because it's probably through their politics that they were able to organize like they did and get a turnout like they did. And I'm sure there were plenty of, people that were politically charged from that side of the aisle and that were there. And, we got to realize that these are people, they're going to take their political beliefs with them. I don't think you should use that opportunity to express politics because I don't think this has anything to do with, as far as the actual charges themselves, a SA case is not politically driven. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, you're absolutely against that. And if you're not going to be in politics very long once it comes out that you are somehow for that. But that being said, I understand that, people were sharing their stories and sometimes their beliefs end up coming out. So I really, from what I saw of it, and I didn't see anything that was too, there was a few comments and stuff like that, but overall it was fueled, in my opinion, by the SA allegations, and they were protesting to shut them down. Now, there might have been some tie-ins to their personal politics, but that's exactly what Michael Vass and them are doing right now, because they see that as they use that as a platform to take advantage. And now they're sharing on their platform about the politics and how they hijacked this with their own politics and hijacked the Me Too movement, when they're doing the exact same thing. They're not talking about the question that I proposed with them as far as this case. Well, they're answering it to a point, but they're so quickly to go back onto their politics that now they're taking away from those victims, when that should have been just, well, it shouldn't be political. I feel like they made it political, but here's what I think on it, and just been direct with it and not involve their politics to it.
Down there for almost the whole thing, that 95% of the speakers, would be my guess, were speaking about subjects that had nothing to do with the alleged rape in bar.
Yes, all the chants, most of the comments had nothing to do with the sexual assault allegations. Nope. They were making it about race. It was about politics, and it was about recruitment for progressive leaders of tomorrow.
So that means they were there for their personal agenda, not the item at hand.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, really, I don't know what the evidence is. I'm sure law enforcement does, and they're trying to find out. And when they do, and if they find out they're guilty, I hope they burn them.
If they're guilty, absolutely. I want them to be burned as much as possible by law, because that's why we have the laws. That's why we have a legal system.
I mean, it could be something as stupid as the two owners of the places, or maybe one of the owners of the places, said something that the progressives didn't like, and that was their way of retaliating. Who the heck knows?
Well, if we were to follow, I can't stand the inconsistency of the progressives. Because remember, there were allegations against Joe Biden on sexual abuse, actually several. The most popular or the most well-known is probably about Tara Reid.
Yeah,
and that's gone. So here's another question from one of the listeners. And again, folks, this is a conversation not only at the moment having it with John, who does have his own channel, by the way,
So I zoomed that in so you could see my actual question, because I think the chat spanned by on him when he was doing this live, and he tried to summarize my question, which he didn't quite get it. He was close to what I asked, but I zoomed in so you could see my actual question.
For Disco's Corner. But you are also welcome to call in. And the conversation, as much as I have subjects that I want to bring up, you are always welcome to bring up your own thoughts. Bings Media is asking, in reference to the alleged sexual assault in downtown Binghamton, do we think that all people involved in this incident, if the allegations are true, will have justice served against them? That they're concerned that the money of the business will affect local politics. And I would say, let me answer that first, and then I'll hear what you think, John, as a former politician yourself in this region. So I believe that it doesn't matter about the money. It truly does not matter. That if they are guilty of this crime, we're not talking about someone who's jaywalking. We're not talking about someone who had a home or a house that they were renting out that's not up to code, which bad enough as it is, but not the same thing. We're talking about a sexual assault.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal.
That goes to an entirely different level,
Right.
because everyone has a sister or a mother or a daughter.
Well, yeah, I have a daughter. Yeah, but the thing is, though, Mike, when you ask the question, will he be brought to justice? That's the problem. The problem is, what's your definition of justice?
That's a good question. And
is it the statutes as written for the years served and all that stuff? I mean, that won't be enough for them? It's never enough.
Well, if we were listening.
One thing I wanted to comment on is, he said that the caller, which I want to state right off the get-go, that I don't think either one of these guys are bad guys. I think, from listening to them, they seem like good guys. I, really respect what Michael Vass does, because he's boots on the ground. He's covering where the media is not covering, and he's doing phenomenal work in that aspect. He's also covering things that the media aren't talking about that are, hot topics in the colleges and things like that. So I think his overall work ethic is great. But one thing I wanted to point out with the caller is he says he will, no problem, these allegations come out, no problem, I'll still go to the bars until they're, proven guilty. In the case, the investigation's complete, I'll still patron these places, I'll still support these businesses. Basically blindly without even knowing. These are just allegations. It's not proof. So I'm not going to, stop going to the watering hole. Not that he does, but he's saying if he did, he wouldn't stop going. But then he says he has a daughter. Would he feel the same way with his daughter? Would he be like, oh yeah, just you go to that bar. Let's just say, hypothetically, she goes to that bar, on a regular basis, and these allegations come out. Do you want your daughter still going to that bar where these allegations are? I mean, it kind of goes down to like the old thing too, is like, if you had somebody that was a close friend and there's some serious allegations made with them, you're not going to leave your kids with them, even if you still are friends with them. And, charges were never pressed. You're not going to leave your kids alone with them. You're going to be cautious. And I think if he were to say, well, yeah, I'd tell my daughter to steer away from that place, if he, tries to think of it from that aspect versus, these are false allegations or whatever, and that posturing. So I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want his daughter to patron that bar with these allegations.
To Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, which is an offshoot for people who don't know, and I've mentioned them many times in this program and others. They are a more radical version of BLM, leaning on and possibly involved with Antifa, a domestic terrorist organization. They're that extreme. And what I believe is, I know they want charges that don't even exist to be placed upon these individuals. I think justice is the laws that we have, which means incarceration. Obviously, going along with that is the public impact it would have on their businesses as people would abandon them. I think so. You have an economic aspect and you have a personal punishment as well. And I think that's appropriate. Do I think they should be whipped in the middle of the streets walking down? If we were in an older form of America, yes. But that's not America today.
Yeah. Well,
That kind of punishment's not allowed. So,
but here's the thing, though. I hope what's not happening is they're being punished by the process. In other words, they did something else that somebody didn't like.
no, they absolutely are. That is what plot is using this as. That's what people are using this as. Just like we've seen them use so many other aspects, like when I backed the police, when I did back the bill, I was attacked for that, literally by a mob of 50 people. There is a live stream of this. 50 people, almost every single one of them white, were using racial slurs and near physically attacking me.
So what do you think? Thinking there's a conflict of interest, and hopefully that mentality is not shared by the masses. It's a bit interesting. I mean, it's a very, like I said, it's a very depressed area. In my other video, there's not, they're going to take side of business. And I think that's a good example of taking side of business, which leaves me concerned that there will not be a proper investigation in this case. And I hope I'm wrong. And I hope they come out and say, hey, we did our due diligence. We set aside our personal relationships in this. And and we did a proper investigation. But I have my doubts because the mayor's backpedaling. We have that story. It's already been, changed in exactly his relationship with these people. There hasn't been any going out of the way and saying, hey, look, this is a conflict of interest. We, as the mayor should be the one calling in, with the AG and trying to get, investigation here, requesting that the FBI looks into it or whoever, just to have that independent investigation, because it's pretty hard to say that there's not going to be bias in this situation. There's not going to be a conflict. All right, so the chat's dead. I was hoping to get a few people in here, so hard to talk to yourself, but that's the state of this channel. It's a brand new channel, a very young channel, and we're trying to bring about some consistency with the channel. We have a schedule now, somewhat, of the content we're going to be providing. It's under the About page. We'll be launching a website here soon. It'll have a description of the different content, and we'll be covering more cases. We just added Missing Mondays this week, which actually ended up getting published on Tuesday. Don't tell anybody. But so we have Missing Mondays, and what that's going to be is missing persons cases. We've been very inspired by all the different social media, especially Twitter. Twitter's been huge with tracking down and investigating people who have gone missing. There's big groups of people web sleuthing their way through and finding these people. And so we're inspired by that. So Missing Mondays, we're going to be putting up the poster board, just like the video that's on there now. And we're going to be updating that every Monday, sliding out the cards of the people that have been found, sliding in the new posters. And then if there is actual demand for it, we might cover them live or do a curated, not the curated video, but hopefully like to build up the live audience, because I like the interaction of it, and I'd like to, have some prepared lives going over some cases. As far as the next case, I'm not sure exactly what case we're going to be jumping on. We're definitely going to be sticking to this Binghamton case because I think right now, in my opinion, it's the biggest case out there. It's a little different. It's a little harder to cover just because it is SA, and that, you know, that makes it way difficult to do on YouTube. But I think it's something that's important. We'll be doing, you know, the Ghislaine Maxwell. As far as the verdict, we might do a, you know, live right when the verdict comes in, which that's in deliberations right now. And then we got the Potter case too, that's in deliberations. I haven't been covering it fully. I'm barely keeping up with it, and I haven't done like a ton of the courtroom. I know Mercado Media's been covering it, and he's been doing court watch and all that. And we do want to, you know, get into court watch again. We did it with the Rittenhouse, and now we're starting to get our setup a little more dialed in, and hopefully it'll just get better the more lives we do, and have better content and a little smoother, because, you know, we did lose the stream a few times. I'm on a old potato computer, and I mean, this thing, I built it in 2009, so it's amazing that I'm even able to do this. It's kind of the reason I didn't do it sooner. It was just because I was like, I need to build a new computer, but it seems to be kind of sort of working. But Kim Potter, that trial reaction or whatever, when the verdict comes in, we'll probably go live for that and just give a little reaction. The reason I didn't cover that one fully is because I didn't agree with the charges. I felt like it was involuntary manslaughter case, and so I felt like no matter what the outcome was, there couldn't be justice. So it makes it very difficult to follow when that's happening. And Ghislaine Maxwell, that one is just, you're only getting what the news media gives you, that are reporters that are actually in the courtroom for the day. At the end of the day, there's no transparency there other than what the media tells you, which is frustrating. And we're going to have to look into what's it take to get the records on that. I mean, a federal case, it might not be as easy, and we're going to have to look into what they're going to seal and what's going to be available to the public to request. And we'll definitely request whatever we can get our hands on, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in there that we haven't. And that's another one of those cases where it's like Ghislaine Maxwell should be front and center transparency. And I think the reason they don't is just because of the big figures that might be involved, and names being brought up and all that. But I mean, that's exactly the same thing that's this case. It's, you know, SA cases, and something that we constantly want to, you know, not take the side of victims, and we want to just sweep it under the carpet like it doesn't exist. But I think with social media, those days are numbered, and, you know, more and more of the Me Too movement and all that, which I'm not like a big Me Too movement follower or anything. I don't know everything about it, but I do agree that women need to, you know, if they can have the courage to speak up and not accept this anymore in the workplace or anywhere, that you're not going to be able to get away with this behavior. And let's send those perpetrators underground and not so flamboyant with their actions like Weinstein and all that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You want to work in Hollywood? Well, this is what you got to do. And so many people that knew about that were part of that institutional betrayal that I talked about in the other video. It's like, yeah, you know, if you know that's going on and you're not doing anything to try to prevent it and bring it to light, then you're just as guilty. So, and that's the case here. That's the case with this 15 girls, supposedly or allegedly. Definitely the case. So can't let it sweep under the carpet. Boy, if you're a web sleuth, or you're, you know, one of these private investigators, even at home, that's good at digging up stuff and finding out information on this that can be brought to light, oh boy, bring it forward, you know, really dig into this one, because I think what's going to end up happening is one person may go to jail or get charges pressed on them, but everybody else that's involved is going to walk, and the mayor is going to run for Senate, and no matter what his involvement is, and It's just going to be, hey, well, we got our guy. Here's our one guy that did something. If they even do that, it might just be like, oh, there wasn't enough evidence. It's very hard to prosecute these SA cases. Now, you would think 15 girls' witness testimony, that would be enough to prosecute, but maybe not all 15 are willing to get on a witness stand. There's a big difference between talking to an investigator and giving a witness statement versus going under oath and sitting there, in front of your perpetrator and actually, having the courage to do that. But, all right, going to check chat. And if not, I'm going to end this live stream. I'll stop rambling in your ear. Oh, I was talking about the schedule. So we're gonna do Missing Mondays. That's gonna be an updated poster, missing persons poster, every week. And we also put Found in there to try to give some encouragement for those of you that are looking. And it can be a very heartbreaking ride that you go on when you're doing these cases and you're looking for the missing, because it's not always a positive outcome. So we put a bunch of found and safes at the end of the video. We'll keep sliding those posters in as they come in found and safe. We'll slide in new posters to bring inspiration. We have Dog the Bounty Hunter and Josh Benson give them their little talk from their Spaces meeting that I clipped out of one of my other videos that I clipped into that. And I find it very encouraging that Dog's getting on that. Josh Benson's been doing missing persons for like 15 or 20 years. So it's just real encouraging to hear, the news trying to cover these cases. Josh Benson's done Spaces where he's actually, tried to break down on how these families can get media coverage and get media attention to get that magnifying glass on the missing persons cases. And he's given some really good pointers on how, to get that coverage that can lead to tips, that can lead to your loved one and finding them safe. The latest one was pretty remarkable with the college girl. Her name's escaping me right now. But she was found, the investigators, found her in a house. She went there willingly, but then was not allowed to leave. They found her covered in charcoal, supposedly, and they pressed charges on this guy. And this guy's defense is, oh, we were role-playing. It was BDSM, and, I thought it was just all a role-play, which I hope that defense doesn't stand up at all, because, it's obviously not that. So we have Missing Mondays. We're going to do Tuesday Tinfoil Days, which is where I get my aluminum foil hat that I haven't made yet, put it on, and we're going to go really deep on the kind of, still be logical and throw out some theories, maybe on some of the more popular cases, maybe throw some tinfoil hat on Chris Watts' case, or some of the other cases that you can definitely go down a rabbit hole of theories, and maybe we'll speculate on that. Say Chris Watts, a lot of people say that's a finished case, but I don't know. There's a lot of that case that still bothers me. I still, that's one of the cases that really sucked me in with the true crime community on YouTube. I was always into true crime, but that one really sucked me in. And really got me watching a lot of different YouTubers trying to follow those cases. So Tinfoil Tuesdays will be where we just maybe beat off the path a little bit into some deep speculation. And, still try to be logical and provide proof for our theory on that. So Tinfoil Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays we were going to do Wacko Wednesdays, where we just find some of the wacko cases that are just so far out there. They're unbelievable. We got a really good one right now going on that's not getting a ton of coverage. There's like 3 of them going on right now, actually, when I think about it. But so there's some pretty far out there cases, just leaves you shaking your head because, like, can this be real? The lawyer one, boy, that one's pretty wild. I just watched the Oxygen hour and a half special on it, and It's one of those cases that if it wasn't for the Brian Laundrie case, I probably would have been on top of that. But boy, as you start digging into that, you're just like, no way. How is all this even possible? So Wacko Wednesdays, we will find some of the more strange oddball cases and covering them. And then Thursdays is Thursday Theories. That's where whatever case we're working on, we're going to break down theories on it. These are going to be more, relative theories that are actually, completely evidence-based and, more factual. And then Fishing Fridays. Fishing Fridays is going to be where I'm digging up new cases to get into or looking into cases or possibly looking for interviews or, for current cases that we're working on. Also, I might do live streams on Fridays just to throw it out here for input for you guys. I'm just fishing for information if I do build a audience to have that. And then Saturdays is going to be system dynamics. And that's a part that's a little bit off the beaten path and more on the activism side and not so much on the true crime side. And so system dynamics, we're going to explore theories and ideas of systems that could possibly make the world a better place. More not going to be political. It's going to be technical. And those presentations are obviously a lot harder to tackle. So there's not going to be one of those every Saturday. So when we don't have one, we'll probably do a salty Saturday where I just complain about maybe different cases or different things going on, and you guys can get salty with me if I'm doing a live. Otherwise, I might just do a curated video of things that make me salty. Sunday's going to be Solve Day. Sunday's going to be a day we cover cases that have been solved and go over the cases. It'll be kind of a more relaxed, chill day. It'll probably be more lives once the live audience builds up, if we have a live audience. I'll probably do some curated videos for now. Now, mind you, that being said, it's a full week of content. We're still trying to get our footing here and figure this all out. So we're stumbling around. So once we get the workflow of the streaming and creating videos, which, I haven't created a video since, I think high school, which was a long time ago. I'm really old. So, the old slow, about to boil and running low on tinfoil, that's a real thing. So, so as the workflow goes up, don't hold it against me if each day of these, it's going to be a work in progress. But hopefully we'll get the workflow out good enough where we can be that consistent. And hopefully we build a community here that, is interested in these things that I've listed, the true crime. Either you're interested in true crime or independent journalism or activism possibly, or system dynamics or any of that kind of stuff. And hopefully we can build a community, get a Discord going and get some banter back and forth. And I really look forward to, deep diving cases and, investigating. Also, if it ever gets to a point, we'd like to get some boots on the ground, but that's going to take a technical aspect, and definitely we'll have to have the channel built up a little bit before we get to that point. But it'd be nice to get some boots on the ground for some of these events happening and do some investigations, and things like that. But all right, that's enough rambling. So that's the direction of the channel. If you made it this far and you actually heard this, congratulations to you. You have amazing patience. I don't know when the next stream's going to be. Probably tomorrow when one of these verdicts come through. They might, those verdicts like to come in on Thursdays and Fridays. It might not even come in tomorrow, but if it does, we'll pop up a live, and I'll be working on this case, seeing if anything comes loose. If I'm running at dead ends on the Binghamton case, and I'm not able to get enough material of things happening for that, I will start another true crime case and pop up a curated video, probably giving a little breakdown of the case, and then we'll do some lives exploring it. If you're watching the replay, thank you, and I will try to I'll probably put up a curated video on this subject as I dig more and as I find more out about this, and I might make a little short video on this, so people aren't stuck watching this whole stream or fast forwarding and trying to find the bits. I'll probably make like a little 10-minute video or something. But thank you and have a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there.